guys, welcome back to my channel. It's your girl Alana here. Welcome back to 3 Degrees of Love Divination. So I figured this would be, I guess, a continuation of my previous video where I started off talking about Alice in Wonderland and the decks and stuff that I currently have in my collection regarding Alice in Wonderland, including books. I didn't say that. But really, when I had started that video, I really wanted it to be about you seeing the current decks that I was currently working with, and just to discuss that. However, as you guys may know or may not know in regards to my channel, I don't like to just show my decks. I like to be constructive with it and actually be doing stuff with it for the betterment of us all. And so, you know, and that's kind of where the whole idea of therapy and tarot started, you know, doing that. Like I think I may have mentioned before, there are a lot of people who do unboxings and things like that. There are a number of people who've been doing it for a while, and I love how they do it. You know, one of them being my friend Priscilla over at Priscilla's Tarot Corner. Just something about the way she does her reviews. It's just very therapeutic and soothing. Something about the way she speaks as well. But not to say I don't, you know, like the rest of anybody who I guess is into tarot and oracle and things like that. I love me a good review video. However, as much as I do enjoy watching that, I don't necessarily always I'm not always particularly drawn to actually doing that per se myself. But I still like to, of course, give shout outs where shout outs are due, and still, you know, bring recognition and support creators and shout out to their creativity. And of course, talk about how their deck, you know, has helped me in the work that I've been doing for myself, and how I, you know, would like to use it when working with other people. So, but with that being said, so of course, you know, in the beloved words of my friend Lexi and Wendy Williams, grab a stack and come on back. Although you're not really coming back because you're already here, and so am I. So with that, we're just, yeah. But grab a snack and chill out, and let's just, you know, enjoy having a discussion about healing, tarot, introspection, therapy, mental health, because that's what my channel is all about. So as I decided to turn on the camera today, part of it is I wanted to share with you some of the cards that I had picked doing a general reading, if you will, and had started off, and was something about the way that these cards came out and matched. I wanted to share that with you. And I know I haven't I kind of moved away into doing you know, and wanting to do mindful messages, and I was doing that for March, and I still want to continue doing that into April with pick threes. But while that is still something I'm still wanting to do, I still like being able to just, you know, do my readings the way that I would normally do it if I wasn't turning on the camera, and still, as things come up, share that with you. You know, and so this is where we're at. And the decks that I had started to use for this reading is the Embody Oracle deck, and I think I've shown you guys that before. This is the one by Himalaya, and is the author and the artist is Alexis Cohen, and this is a very gorgeous deck. I've had this for a bit in my collection. I had even, well, like I had picked up the deck for myself, and then Himalaya at one point had a online retreat, if you will, so to speak, and I happened to then win a copy of the deck, which I did at the time. This was years ago, this is a few years back now. I did give away to a friend at that time, who I felt could benefit from it, and you know, and it's such a wonderful deck. Like I've mentioned before in a previous video, the guidebook is very extensive, and what I really like about it is not only do you have like a there's the keyword. So like first, you know, we'll look at this card, which is 13, self-care. And of course the message within it, you know, what, hold on a second, let me find it. Okay, here we go. So raising the bar on pampering. I'll read just a little bit of it because I don't want to make it too long, but okay, so 13, self-care, raise the bar on pampering. Beloved one, you have been working hard and growing in so many areas of your life to create balance. It's vital to embark on self-care practices that fill and replenish your inner well. You may not always fully realize how deeply supported you are by your loved ones and by the universe itself. This card comes to you today with the message that it is time to receive extra support and care, and that you can begin by giving this to yourself. And I absolutely love that. And of course there's more, but then there's also what there also is in here is embody invitation. And you know, and it gives you the embodiment activity for you to do. So you know, that's what I really like about this. And let's see here, let's see how many pages we've got for this entry. For 13 we have 1, 2, 3. Okay, so there's 3 pages. That includes the summary along with the embodiment activity. But so when so after pulling this card, well actually, you know what, let's just look at all the cards that let me just move them. Okay, so hopefully you can see it clearly. I know because this particular deck is a bit glossy, so excuse me, with the reflection of my light, overhead light, you know, I'm hoping that you can still see it clearly. But we have 13, self-care, which I just read a little bit of that for you, 2, prosperity, 4, whole, and 21, love. And so, you know, of course, when I pulled that and I read the messages, you know, they were absolutely beautiful. But then Um, I then pulled from the Little Buddha Oracle. That's the one by Push Kitty. That I believe I did talk about during a during my collab video that I did with my friend Priscilla from Priscilla's Tarot Corner and Brittany of Cosmic Lunar Soul. And the video that we did was just, was in honor of Black History Month. We did that back in February. And we talked about, the creators that are created and or represent, a person of color. So created by or representing of, people of color. And so, but with that, so I think so it was in and around that time, slightly afterwards, maybe a few weeks later, I decided, you know what, since I've talked about it and something I've been longing to work with, so I felt like it was time. So this is the Little Buddha Oracle created by Push Kitty. And if you haven't seen or heard of Push Kitty, of course I'll have all of that stuff linked down in the description box for you. But they also created the Little Buddha Tarot among so many other decks, including here's the Little Buddha Tarot with the Little Buddha Oracle, and also there's, when the Little Buddha Tarot was on Kickstarter, there was also the option of grabbing a majors only deck. As far as I know, this deck has since then become like a full-fledged tarot, and not just a majors only, and that's the Pastel Kitty Tarot. So I've been using all of, that so far this round. It's in my collection of currently being used decks, if you will. So anyway, but what I really liked about how when using the Little Buddha Oracle, actually, let me just show you the box. So it says peace, love with a heart, namaste. We've got the little lotus flower, Push Kitty with 3 hearts, and you know me, 3 being my number, so 3 hearts, yay. I guess the Buddha symbol, and then the inside with all the stars, and and the little panda. And if you had seen that video, that collab video that I did do with Brittany and Priscilla, then you would know that I had mentioned in that video that the author, or the creator rather, Aimey of Push Kitty, what I think what is really cute is the little Buddha that you see here is actually created in honor of her son, actually. So yeah, so the little Buddha is her little baby, and constructed around that, right? So anyways, but yeah, so that's the box. The back, with some of the pictures of some of the cards. Anyways, so so even with that, oops, I meant to put that back in box. That's okay. So with 13, self-care, and the card that came up, of course, is do the inner work. I know there's no guidebook for this Oracle deck, but you don't really need it because of the the messages are written directly on the cards, right? So so to me, how fitting is that, the idea of 13 self-care, but we're also paired with do the inner work. So part of that self-care isn't just necessarily about what the Embody Oracle says about, pampering yourself, but doing the inner work, doing that shadow work, doing the meditation, getting to know and understand you on a much deeper level than you may know yourself now. So that's really the understanding of getting into in tune with your feelings and your emotions. And to me, in a sense, emotions would be I would say the core parts of that watery emotional aspect of self, right? Happy, sad, mad, fearful, things like that. But then there are what I would consider yet now the going a little bit deeper than that, feelings that are developed and that can be a smash up of the core emotions, right? And so I call those are what I would consider the feelings. And if you've heard me talk about feelings before, and the understanding of how I've come to know my feelings as being piggies, and understanding where they originate from. And a lot of the time, I do talk about trauma response. I talk about childhood trauma, and how some of these feelings, if you will, can get stuck in the time frame that's, let's say, said trauma occurred, and they get stuck there, being that age that you were at the time that the trauma occurred. So for me, and this is again part of comes back to why I even started this channel, and and the whole premise of therapy and tarot. It's all about doing the inner work and the introspection, right? And reflecting upon all of the situations that we've encountered in our life, the interactions that we've had with others, and how that may have affected us to whatever degree that that needs to be unpacked. And the thing is, doing the inner work, looking at this card here, I mean, yes, it's very beautiful, and the little Buddha is very cute and looks very serene, but sitting in the middle of a lotus flower. And if we understand how a lotus grows, it's in the darkness, it's in the murkiness of water, it's essentially growing out of mud to become something so beautiful, so vibrant, so alive. And so, to me, paired this self-care, 13 self-care, and, with the 13, a number on there, that is essentially the death card in a tarot deck. And so the idea of death and rebirth, nurturing our wounds, putting to bed the parts of ourselves that aren't serving our highest and greatest good, we just had our full moon in Libra, and the idea about balance, right? And you know, doing the work to let go of all of the aspects of self that is not serving us or each other. So, right? Like, I do the inner work for self-care. So I really liked how, you know, those cards really spoke together for me. Yes, the art does not necessarily match, but they're both vibrant anyways. And like I said, the way that I read, very layered. I pay attention to the artwork, but they don't necessarily have to be cohesive in that sense for me to feel like the deck fits or doesn't fit. It's all in how they communicate with each other for me in regards to the overall message. So second, we have prosperity, right? And with prosperity, paired with prosperity, we have what we think we become, Buddha. And, you know, yes, so that idea, and that's, you know, and again, that's sort of where, you know, it, for me, comes where I've come to realize and appreciate myself as a being of love and embodying love, not only in the way that I speak, but the way I speak, not only in the way that I speak to myself and others, but also in how I recognizing that for me to be here, at some point in time, two people had to love each other in order to make me, right? And it's that whole understanding of, and why I talk about, you know, and I was, like I said, I was also raised with the belief that God, oneness, the universe, right? But for me, it was God is love. And as we are reflections of a whole, every move we make should be done with love. And so when we are hard on ourselves, when we are disrespectful to ourselves, to, you know, those around us and stuff like that, how we act, it's not even, to me, it's not even just about what we think, but it's about how we also act. And it's all of those things combined, you know, from the beginning, from the thought to actioning that out, right, to into the 3D realm. That's the understanding that what we think, what we do, becomes who we are. And so when it comes to prospering and prosperity, like, I know, and you know, and even with what looks to be in the hand of this character from the Embody Oracle, it almost looks like a pentacle that's in her hand, but it is represented by, on the inside, we have what looks like two hearts in the middle of a flower, which is in the middle of whatever this circular shape is supposed to represent. And so, you know, and so even if it's pentacle, and understanding the meaning behind pentacles, it's not necessarily just about monetary value, but it's about who we are as people, right? Who we become. Because ultimately, too, we being here, we are a created aspect of life. So we essentially are represented, our health, matters of body is also represented by the pentacle in tarot, right? So it's that idea that as we give of ourselves in a loving way, we are then receiving in return the same love that we put out, that we desire for ourselves. So, you know, to think of ourselves as being love, as we embody it, we become it. So that is how I read that when when I pulled the card, you know, and even from 13, self-care, do the inner work so that we can heal the parts of ourselves that lower our vibrations, that take us away from embodying and prospering on love, so that we can think and action ourselves on a higher plane of understanding of who we are, who we hope to be, and where we would like to see our future. And so that is that idea, what we think we become. And as we become that, we become prosperous. So the next card that came up was 4, whole. 4 being the number of structure and stability, right? We have this character here holding essentially the world, the wholeness of the world in her hands. And, you know, with the idea of polarity, we have the sun, we have the moon. We also have what looks to me like, well, they kind of look like pentacles in the background. We have air and what looks to be like water as well. So we have all the elements, right? And then understanding that we embody also all the elements within self. And so with that also comes the understanding of authenticity. When we're standing in our truth, when we're standing in that foundation, that stable foundation of self, and we are authentic, then we are removing the mask. We remove the mask that we use as a shield to protect ourselves. Now, protection is always important, right? However, there are times when to really understand what that is, and and this even comes down to boundaries, and the boundaries that we set for ourselves when in regards to other people. And there's an understanding that there is a difference between having boundaries that are flexible and then when you become a stonewall and stonewalling, right? And also, if you're doing the inner work, you're also looking at, and this is where I think, and this is where there's 2 books that I have mentioned in a previous video a while back, and I spoke about the book Boundaries and Safe People. And in both of those books, as great as they are, they're both written by the same authors. Dr. You know, I'll put it up in editing because I can't remember right now to even tell you. Henry Cloud and Dr. Townsend. I don't remember the first name, but it's Dr. Townsend and Henry Cloud. Those are the authors of both those books, actually. But basically, the gist and the understanding is about taking a look at ourselves and the boundaries that we set in place. Are they boundaries that are actually warranted, or are they boundaries that we're setting in place? The masks that we put on, are they masks that we're putting in or on because we are engaging in trauma response? That whole idea of fight or flight, you know, are we being truthful with others about who we are, about our integrity, about our loyalty, about our essentially, are we being honest with ourselves, and are we being honest with the people that we interact with on a daily basis? Let's just say that. Right? Also, I wanted to mention, because even more recently, the idea of understanding what flexible boundaries are, you know, and sort of comparing between the understanding of rigid boundaries or no boundaries at all versus actually having a balanced, healthy boundary that has flexibility. That all comes into discussion in none other than Drea Bloom's Terror Activity book. And I guess when I get to, that will be the next, so look out for that, because when I do get back to picking the next activity from the Terror Activity book, you know, that will be one of the exercises that I bring out, whether that be the next one or maybe a little bit down the line, we shall see. But that is an exercise that is in the Terror Activity book, and when I was reading that at one point, that was some of the stuff that came up, really, you know, getting to take a look at the boundaries that we have in place. Are they rigid, or are they non-existent, or is it a healthy balance between the two, and is flexible enough to be protective but also not too rigid that we are shutting everything out. So, you know, so there's also that, right? And so the idea of whole and, you know, accepting ourselves, and meeting each other where we're at. And then, of course, none other than 21, love, which, again, in the major arcana, if we're bringing this back to tarot, you know, corresponds to the world card. And as you see in the 4 whole, the woman is actually holding the world. So, you know, just the way that everything sort of strings together that way. And that's what I really liked when, you know, with these cards, and why, you know, I wanted to talk about it. So, of course, 21, love. You know, endless amounts of love and an abundance of love. And, you know, we all come from love, as I say, right? And so, you know, how more fitting could it possibly be than to draw out this card? Judge less, accept more, Buddha. So, right? And in this card, we see, you know, various characters. We have, you know, the little Buddha himself, but we also have, you know, it looks to be like a character who's of Indian descent. And the reason why I say, and when I say Indian, I mean East Indian. And the reason why I say that is because it looks like they have, I forget what it's called, but the little symbol on the forehead, that is indicative of this culture, and what looks like she's wearing a sari, right? And then we have another on the other opposite side of the Buddha. On the other side of the Buddha, we have another character who is dressed in what looks to be like some sort of I was about to say, and I can very well be wrong, almost looks like a Chinese, Japanese, possibly, could even be still Indian, sort of pantsuit with the hat. But it's the idea that we're coming from all different cultures, right? And we're all coming from different walks of life. And it doesn't matter with whatever culture or background that we resonate with, we are all love. And so understanding that we all have a story, they may or may not intercept with one another, but that idea that we are to judge less, judge ourselves and one another less, and be more accepting of who we are, removing that mask and becoming whole. So I really liked working with these decks, you know, for that reason, and just how they, you know, they spoke to me. And, you know, and of course, so what I'm still currently working with, like I said, I have the, you know, the Embodied Oracle, the Little Buddha Tarot. I am still working with the Reclaim Oracle. I said the Little Buddha Oracle. I don't know if I said that, but anyways, I might have said tarot. My mistake. But the Little Buddha Tarot here, the Black Femme Tarot, the the Pastel Kitty, Major Arcana deck. And of course, why do I really love this deck? Well, because there's a piggy, and the piggy happens to be the Hanged Man in this deck here. So, yeah, so, and I just really love Push Kitty's artwork. Right now there's a slew of decks, and I know that Aimey has on the go some other decks coming out soon that actually is sort of smashing my favorites together, and when I say favorites, I mean the idea of therapy with tarot, because it's a very introspective kind of deck to work with. So I would say very much falls down the line to well, actually Push Kitty already does have a trauma oracle deck and journal, I think. I know. But I guess I was saying I think because I can't remember what it's called exactly, but I'm pretty sure it's just the trauma oracle. But I will, obviously, in editing, will definitely have the correct name. But this is supposed to be another duo where I think that there's an oracle and a tarot to go that is coming out together, you know, for the whole for the very reason of mental health, doing introspection, and for healing, right? So that's where I feel like I really appreciate Push Kitty's work, because it's along those premise of healing trauma and doing that introspection and all that, which, you know, I'm already all about. So yeah, but this is the Major Arcana. Oh, look, another piggy as the Fool, with what looks like a pet squirrel. And, you know, these decks are just great for inner child work, especially. You know, like, I mean, you don't have to just use it for that, but I mean, it appeals to the inner child in us all. You know, I know my inner children, and piggies are, you know, more than ecstatic. You know, when they see the artwork on this deck, or these decks, rather. So, yeah. Also, I'm still rocking, in right now in rotation, the African Tarot by Debra. And the Tarot de Saint Croix, which I think I've already shown you, so I'm not really gonna, you know, pull that out to really show. But also, I've also pulled out, now this is a deck by, hang on, by another beloved Canadian, known as Jillian C. Wild. And this creator also has a tarot deck, which I do have, but I'm not using right now, called the Naked Heart Tarot. And this is the Mystic Woodlands Tarot Infused Charmed Playing Cards. Now, this deck so far has been really fun to work with too, because, well, as you know, I love playing cards, and I've been collecting them my entire life, long before I got into tarot. And so we have what comes with it. We have a little note from Jillian in regards to it. We have the story of the Mystic Woodlands. We have a how to use this deck. So it does not come with a guidebook. It comes with extra cards. The creatures of the Mystic Woodlands. And then we have the what do you call it? The keywords and stuff for the cards. So we have clubs / wands key to will. We have the heart / cups key to feel. We have the spades / swords key to know. And actually I didn't read. Okay, so hold on, let me see. So clubs, wands key to will, of the spirit, transformation, and personal power. Of the heart, emotional release and intuition for the heart / cups key to feel. And then for the spades / swords key to know. Of the mind, thoughts and communication. And diamonds / pentacles key to be. Of the physical, substance and grounding. So I feel like this playing card deck is perfect for those who want to and well, any beginner if you will, but even seasonal readers who maybe aren't necessarily familiar with the with using playing cards in divination and want to understand how the suits correspond, because there's the the clubs, the hearts, the spades, and the diamonds, and they all have their corresponding to the wands, the cups, the swords, and the pentacles, right? Yeah, and then these are the backs. And yes, I believe they are all, well, no, just those ones are different. The other ones are the same on the, hold on. Yeah, the rest are the same where on the, on like the actual deck itself. So on the, it's a double-sided for the creatures. About Jillian Wilde is on the back of how to use this deck, and then yeah, a double-sided for the Woodlands Mystic Story, and then we also have the note but a dedication on the back of the first card that I spoke about, and we have the deck. And so, of course, it's pips. It is a playing card deck after all. No. And these are the backs. And then the what I really like is the pips are illustrated in the sense of, so for hearts, right, we actually have cups on the on the face of the cards, showing its correspondence, if you will. Here's the Ace of Diamonds. As you can see, the wands have like a sort of wands-ish type of illustration on them. The diamonds have the pentacles. The spades have the swords. And so on and so forth. So, yeah. So I've really been liking using this deck as well. And because of the, it's a very animal theme, it actually very much goes very, very well with the exception of the jokers. And I do use my jokers when I'm in divination, when I'm using a playing card deck for divination. Because of course the jokers act as either a significator card or as the fool card. Right? So yeah. And I was saying the deck, because of with everything on it, and it's very much in themed with the Naked Heart Tarot, also by Jillian C. Wilde. So I really, really enjoyed that, working with that, and still working with Under the Roses Lenormand, another sort of mini African tarot. This one is by US Games, and looks like this. And it is very small. But still shuffleable, and I can still bridge it as well, still riffle and bridge the deck. And then last, but well, no, not quite. Then of course, I don't, if you maybe sometime last year I think I did speak about this deck, and this is the deck that is created by Dr. Ebony, and she is a psychologist, actually, who created this deck, and what I really like, it's very much a very therapeutic, sort of therapy type deck, and so this one is very much a prompting deck, in regards to what is written on the cards. So we have what mental blocks get in the way of intimacy and connection, and then there's a task. So challenge the blocks by asking the following: whose voice is this? What do I want to think? What do you notice in your body when you are upset with your partner? Now, what I really like about her therapy cards, Dr. Ebony's therapy cards, is the fact that, so this is actually her newest deck in this series that she has. So this one is my therapy cards for relationships, but she has one that is my therapy cards for women, my therapy cards for men, and there's also my therapy cards for teens. And of course, yeah, this was the newest one, relationships, that came into her collection, and of decks that she created. And there's a whole program in the sense of, that goes along with a journal, and so on. And it is perfect for, when it comes to, even when you aren't able to go to therapy, you can still use these decks for self-reflection, introspection, and doing that even, with your family, especially if you were to get all of the decks, right? And so I really like that. So I've also been using that as having a prompt card as well. And no, that doesn't go there. Why am I putting that there? I don't know. And then let me just show you what comes with it here real quick. So my therapy card, well, that's her business card. How to use the cards, a kind of layout on, you know, on the card itself, like what, you know, the color and, you know, what the icon means and things like that. We have an emotion wheel that comes with this, disclaimer, a glossary, and of course resources. Yeah. And then the last deck to show you that I have been working with, of course, is the last playing card deck, which is, this is also by King's Wild Project. Just like the Alice in Wonderland cards that I had spoken about in my last video, and of course it again has the 1 Thessalonians chapter 4 verse 11 written on the box. Well, just the not the actual passage, but yeah. And then and the cards, that one look like these. I actually have 2 copies of the 1982 playing card deck. I was born in 1982, so yeah. But one is holographic, which is the one that I'm showing you now, and the other one is just like a plain. So yeah, you know, it came with in a box that looks like a VHS tape, and these are the backs, looking like a VHS tape itself, and the fronts with the pips, and them being you know, very holographic, you know, kind of 80s theme. So I think I really like that and think it's really cool. So I've been enjoying working with that. And yeah, so those are the decks that I have been currently working with and wanting to show you. And I especially wanted to show you the cards that I pulled and how they spoke together, and, you know, just how much and why I enjoy working with these decks to do what I do. And in regards to self-reflection and things like that. So yeah, so I hope that you enjoyed my video today, just to sort of follow up and show you the decks that I kind of wanted to show you, but then ended up you know, going down the rabbit hole with Alice in Wonderland. So yeah, so of course, comment down below, let me know what you enjoyed. You know, are some of these decks that you have that you would work with, interested in working with, and yeah, and if you like how the cards that I did pull and how they spoke with each other, and what I had to say about them, please let me know that too. I hope that you would like, share, and subscribe. And of course, like I said, comment down below. Thank you for joining me today for this video, and I hope to see you next time. So with all that being said, thank you so much. I love you. Again, as I always say, I am love, and so are you. As I see myself as human, I know you are too. So with all that being said, please make sure to take care of yourself and one another. And while you're at it, don't forget about me too. I love you so, so much. And until we chat again, remember to check your privilege, mind your magic, and as always, live, listen, and learn. I love you. Bye.